年。首先，我们回顾一下过去的一年，能不能谈论一下就是公司所面临的一些主要的挑战？首先，感谢 Kristen， 也感谢各位的加入，感谢在座的各位，非常高兴见到各位。在过去一年，我们谈到了很多。我也有这个机会遇到了各地的领导 CEO 哈，当然的话还有中国。那么其中一个问题的话，就是我们的现在的问题，就是我们如何去保持我们的竞争的优势，但是我们的环境发生了改变，我们周围的变化的速度比以前更快，大家感到我们要面向未来的话，需要有更好的韧性。那么同时的话，我们要面对短期的这种挑战。那么这些的话都是这个挑战。那么我们对我们周围的这个世界的话，实际上也是有诸多的回答，是包括这个短期的一些这个通胀呀，还有这个地缘政治方面的一些这个挑战等等，还有包括塑造我们周围世界的一些这个科技。还有其他2个方面的话也是非常重要的，一个是公司所面临的格局，总体上来说的话也是在发生改变。首先是公司的优势，首先我们看看就是竞争的格局，比如说银行。那么银行的核心业务相对他们的这个区块链的这个业务，那么我们现在能够看到，就是说这个区块链的业务相比这个银行的核心业务来说的话，增长的更快。那还有包括的一些这个汽车的呢解决方案及企业的解决方案，比如说你是电信这种企业，现在的话就是云业务的发展的话是非常快，可能是10倍、5倍原来的这个业务。所以我们能够看的就是现在的这种间隔就完全不一样，然后的话就是挑战的话也是不一样的。我们考虑其他的传统上你的这种优势所在，你的这个驱动的这个因素。当然的话，它是这个相关的，但是我们再看看我们现在我们谈到这种敏捷性，我们谈到数据，我们谈到那种响应，谈到这个人才。那么这个的话是相比于这个传统的经典的物理的这个世界的话，它有一个很大转变，现在更多转向这个数字化的世界。那么今年早先的时候，我们也知道的话，当时的话就是一个特殊的这个时刻。我们也知道，有一些就是向上发展的趋势。我们就是知道的话，就是说，比如说，就是说 ChatGPT 的发展。那么之前的话，你可能要触达这个用户的话，他可能需要就比如长的这个时间。那么比如说那比如说这个Facebook 的话，它可能会需要就是说，比方说现在这个 ChatGPT 的话，它能够在很短的时间来触达更多的用户。在过去的这个10年的时间。那么现在我们追求的是这个10万亿的这个技术的这个数据。我们也知道，在过去的10年，就是说这种开支的话是达10万亿美元的这个高科技的克制。那不只是浪费的一些这个金钱，还有包括还有就是这个时间方面，还以及大家也觉得是比较抑郁。所以的话，这个的话也是加重的这个挑战，这是我们目前所面临的这个挑战。在我们当前的这个世界当中的话，就是有少数的这种企业能够充分的借助这个优势。那我现在想交给Carol 来谈一下。Carol 能不能跟我们谈一下，就这些企业它有什么这个特点？他们破解的这个密码，为未来的发展做好了准备。感谢 Kristen， 感谢李热人。
很多的不确定性，很多的这个快速的发展。其实刚才也谈到，时间不是线性的，那么我们来建筑未来的公司，这个旅程也不是线性的。那么我们会把正在这个旅程上的公司呢分成4类。应该说，在第一个台阶上呢，我们叫滞后型的企业， 那这些企业呢，已经尝试过数字化的转型，但是还不成功，也没有很多的收益，可能就是刚才Niraj 说的这个10乘以10啊。那么这类的企业，那么第二类的企业，我们说是成长型的企业，那么他们已经有一个数字化的蓝图，其中也取得了一些个局部的和阶段性的一些个胜利，那么也有一些个得到的一些个这个非常好的一些个成功的案例，但还是局部的。它还没有真正能够打通，还没有真正能够规模化。那么这类呢，我们称为成长型的企业。那么再上一个台阶儿，我们说是规模型的企业。那这些企业已经在数字化的旅程里面走在比较前面了，也是打通的、规模化的，能够得到很多的这方面的一些个 benefit， 一些个这个价值啊。那么这类的企业应该是说已经建立了一个非常好的一个基础。那么从持续性的创新再往上走，但是最上面的企业我们称为先锋型的企业。那先锋型的企业其实已经打造了非常系统性的规模化的能力，不仅在数字化的转型里面走在了前列，而且已经有比较成熟的它的一套能力来更好的利用一些颠覆型的一些个技术啊。那么这些个企业就是能够持续性的不断的创新，而且会有颠覆性的创新的这个企业。但是呢，不幸的是啊，我们前2个台阶的这个企业，也就是刚才说滞后型和成长型的企业，其实大多数啊占75%。那么真正的是说规模型的先锋型的企业只是25%，那么先锋型的就更小了，可能是6%左右。但是这里面大家是不是会说，那这些是不是本来就是数字化时代的一些原住民啊？就是在这个时代里面诞生跟成长的企业？是的，很多是的，但也不全是。也有传统的企业成功的完成了这个转型，把自己变成了规模型和先锋型的企业。那么刚才也问到是说，那么你怎么来衡量啊这些个企业能力方面？当然了，肯定是有技术型的能力啊，但是很多其实是组织的能力人才的能力。那么这是一个因，那么果我们其实也有非常定量的一个对他们的一个衡量。那么我们用来衡量它结果的是既有财务性的数据，也有非财务性的数据。在财务性的数据里面，我们当然会看企业的这个营收的成长，它利润的这个提升那么以及它这个总体的股东的回报以至于它股东的回报的回归，那么跟疫情前它的回归的速度是怎么样？那么这些是财务性的数据。在非财务性的数据里面，我们会看 ESG 它 ESG 的 rating 是怎么样的它员工对企业的认同感和它的这个敬业感是怎么样的？那么也会包括它品牌它公司的这个美誉度是怎么样的那么这些都是我们会看，最后也是创新。比如说它在专利方面的这个拥有度是怎么样的？那么所有这些指标，我们会看到我们刚才说的，在第3个台阶上的规模型的企业，它比滞后型的企业大概在总体这方面的表现，不管是财务还是非财务的，都差不多是2倍。那先锋型的就更不得了了，是差不多是4倍左右。但这个核心归结到点上是怎么样能让企业有持续的创新力因为 BCG 我们在股东回报总的这个模型里面会发现，对股东回报它的应该是说它的这个贡献最大的其实是。
You do not damage is from the growth, and the core growth is innovation. So innovation is the first productivity. So the innovation. So now I would like to give to talk about the innovation, especially innovation in China. Carol has talked about the large scale and the pioneering businesses and the percentage. So altogether, the account for 25%, the pioneers only account for 6%. We focus on innovative business, the top 50 innovative businesses around the world. Over the past decades, our global innovation group has tracked these businesses, and we have a peer review, and we produce the top 50. some of the names are familiar. These are the digital natives and tech businesses account the largest share, 14 of them in this list. Only 35% are assessed as large scale and pioneer. So in 2023, Chinese businesses have 8. There were 8 Chinese businesses were in the list. 25 from America, 11 from EU, 8 from China, 3 from Japan. There's an increase in Chinese businesses as they are distributed in different sectors. These include digitalization and TMT and energy business. If we look at the characteristics of the innovation of Chinese businesses, and the share of innovation as a major task is higher than 95% of the business think innovation is a primary task. In 2019, it was 80%. That was global average. I think China is shifting from high-speed development to high-quality development. So that's an extra requirement for innovation. And second, double carbon reduction and sustainable development. This is also assessment indicator for Chinese businesses. 81% of the Chinese business thinks sustainable development and double carbon reduction is among the 3 top priorities. The global average is 61%. The third point is that in technical innovation, what are the common concerns? AI accounts for 61%, IoT and edge computing 60%. And this is the same as the global average or higher than global average. So we can say China's technological innovation and business model innovation have received greater attention. We can say compared with the innovation pioneers in the world, Chinese businesses also have high requirements for the innovation and double carbon targets.
Very strongly in this conversation is that this is a journey to innovation. Can you walk us through what does that first step look like? And then in 3 to 5 years, what's different? What does it look like then? I can maybe, Carol, would you like to take that one?
I
think it's a good question. At the start, we have talked about this. This journey is not linear. It's not just how you go through the step 1 and then how you go through the step 2. We find at the business as the first 2 steps. If you ask them what is the focus, what is the center or gravity of your work, they will talk about they will make some point-based changes in the digital age. For example, they will consider from the perspective of compliance and data security. They will think about how we can perform better in the customer's journey and demand forecast.
And how can I do better in terms of focus of operations? That's their focus and priority. If you ask business who are in the latter 2 group, how to scale their AI solutions, and how to build a sustainable development culture, whether you have enough talent pool, whether we can accumulate enough talents for future innovation. So they're thinking about completely different questions. As Niraj said, why 10 times 10 actually invest a lot on digitalization without being able to benefit from it. So that's why we're talking about the 10, 20, 70. So be it AI or digitalization, only 10% relies on your technology model, 20% on data, and 70% relies on your organization, whether there's a shuffling or restructuring, whether you have enough talents, whether you have changed the way you work, whether you're still applying or using a hierarchy in the traditional way, a pyramid shape, or you actually have a flat organizational structure, building a ecosystem. So sometimes the 70% is more important, no matter how much you invest on the 10% and 20%, but eventually you don't really reap the benefit. So this is not really a linear process. Step one, we talk about marketing of digitization. Second is about digitization of your operation. And third, of the financial system. You have to do all of this in parallel. And more importantly, your whole organizational flow, your talent pool, the way you work, you have to change all of that. Without those, you can never go to the third and fourth step.
Earlier around agility and on resilience, that we're looking for sustained competitive advantage, whether you're starting now or looking into the long term. One of the points that you mentioned just now, Carol, was on talent and the role of connecting talent into this process. Can you speak a little bit more about the types of skills that are needed to really show leadership in this transformation? Floor is open for thoughts on skills.
Maybe I can try and, am I audible? Yeah, all right. So there's a phrase I'll use, which I think Satya Nadella uses in Microsoft, which I think typifies the attitude of today. We have to move from a know-it-all organization to a learn-it-all organization. I think that mindset is super critical, because you don't know what's the new vector of change that is going to come your way. You have to have the humility, and I think we in BCG pride ourselves a lot on this as well, to say that you have to have the humility to say, I don't know, but actually at the same time have the curiosity to understand it from the context of the other person, right? I think that combination to first, very often, many organizations come from a position of arrogance to say, we know better, right? And that's where the learning stops. So if you shift it around to one, give up the arrogance, create a culture where it is more about learning and absorbing, I think that's great. The other skill, if I may, is you will never have all the capability within the organization. So collaborating beyond the organization in an ecosystem format also becomes very important. And true collaboration, a true spirit of collaboration, rather than trying to say all capabilities will reside within, is becoming an important skill as well, to my mind.
It's interesting that you first bring up soft skills. As we're talking about AI, big data, really technical times transformation. So would you like to add on to what you see, Carol? And then I'm curious too from the Chinese market perspective, if there's any skills that rise in sort of that importance.
Well,
I would like to add something really quickly. I quite agree with Niraj. Previously, he also talked about this. In this ever-changing time, if a company's competitive advantage is actually shifted from economy of scale to now data, of course, data is very important. And another view that BCG holds, and a think tank named after our founder holds, is that speed of economic learning. It really depends on how fast you learn. Despite of the business elements, components, two colleagues here are parents as well. I have 2 children. In the future, they will go into college and going to middle school. What they learn, whether what they learn is useful or not, I have no idea. I don't know how to advise them on choosing their major. All I know is that they need to have learning ability, learning how to learn, how to accelerate their learning, and to maintain their curiosity and maintain empathy. No matter what AI can do, but there's something it definitely cannot do. It doesn't have empathy. It has no imagination. It lacks morality. So first of all, learn how to learn, how to absorb knowledge faster. Be empathetic, be moral, be curious. That's more important. Coming back to talents, we can talk about what experience and positions the talents have, but it all comes down to their leadership traits. Well, I would like to add that Chinese business view on innovation and AI, what kind of talents or talent structure they need. I would like to share with you some data, some numbers. In the last 3 to 4 decades, China as an economy, as the factory of the world, has provided many cheap labors, and labor-intensive industries was China's pillar and a great contributor to the world. But compared to the year 2000, 1 million graduates. Now to this year, we have 11.58 million graduates. So China has stepped up efforts on cultivating high-end talents. And that has changed China's talent structure, a shift from labor-intensive to innovation-intensive. This is China's comparative advantage. For R&D or comprehensive management talents, China has a great supply. And facing Chinese business, there's a great need, but also a great supply for talents, be it Chinese business or foreign business in China. They are slowly shifting from market to R&D or innovation. So in the wave of innovation, we will see bigger role Chinese business will play.
If there's any questions from our audience, please just raise your hand and use a mic and say your name. Any questions? If not, I'm happy to keep asking this panel I have many more questions on this data. I think what's been really interesting is this data is part of a larger project. We've mentioned it's happened over the past 3 years, very interesting 3 years in terms of the shifts we've seen in the world. We're really talking about building for the future. And one of the things we're also talking about here at the meeting is the power of entrepreneurship, hand in hand with innovation. So I was hoping each of you could share your advice for entrepreneurs who are looking ahead to start this journey on the right foot, to build on the points you've made about curiosity and innovation. What should entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs do now to make their companies future ready? June, would you like to begin?
Well, to entrepreneurs and business owners, a basic requirement is that innovation is a prerequisite given the current trend. As you know that with more uncertainty coming from geopolitical side and economic cycles, they need to show their more responsibility, which lies in their commitment to innovation, their curiosity. I would like to give you a surprising example, a very small one. Even in a downward economic trend, no matter how you control your costs, half of entrepreneurs think that innovative technology model can be a better way of cost control. So in such a wave, you either go up or you go down. A sustainable company must possess those traits. Otherwise, they will fail. Well, I don't know the current data. About 20 years ago, when I was in business school, I remember that was the first dot-com wave. That was the end of the 90s, dot-com bust. So at the time, only 3% entrepreneurs would make it. And in an ever more uncertain era, this number will only be smaller. So to many extent, be it business or individuals. Whether you choose to start up your own business or go into other careers, the most important traits you must possess. One is related to innovation, your vitality. The other is resilience. You cannot really succeed at the first try. Very few are that lucky. Maybe it will take you 4, 5 attempts. On a similar note, around a few years ago, together with Raj and other colleagues, we did a interpretation on Asian leadership, an analysis of successful entrepreneurs, of what traits do they possess. Of course, they share many traits with European counterparts as well. But in Asia, there's something that stands out. One is their vision for long term. One of the entrepreneurs we interviewed, he said, which was quite impressive, if we want to send mankind to Mars in 5 years, we need European scientists. But if mankind want to survive on Mars, we need more Oriental wisdom from Asia, so that mankind can survive on Mars. And we find out that in terms of ecosystem building, the external factor is a very important has a very important role in Asia. It's about increasing resilience. So my competitors in upstream and downstream can be my rival, but at the same time, my friends, my partners. So that's something we find interesting. When you compare Asian and European leaders as CEOs, so European CEOs, maybe 15% of their time are spent on visiting clients. Well, in Asia, the number is doubled. So that's something interesting.
No word is yours.
Okay, sure. All right. I'll keep it quick. You know, there's 2 pieces of advice I always give to entrepreneurs, and I think they hold here. One is, you know, this concept of desirable, feasible, and viable. So you have to solve, you have to address an unmet need. So it has to be desirable by the end customer. Obviously, it has to be feasible. You can't be chasing something which is a complete moonshot. And it has to have an economic viability, right? So that's one phrasing, right? It's easier said than done. Quite often at the altar of desirability, feasibility, viability, people fall flat on one of the 3 things, right? The other one, which I combine with that, is keep your eyes on the sky but nose on the ground. You know, I think, so you frame big, but you execute small, if the other way to say it. So like, you know, I think you sometimes lose that connect with you frame big and you start executing big, you will surely fail, right? You know, at the same time, if you frame small and execute small, you may not be able to scale as well. So I think those are the 2 things I tell them.
Thank you so much. I think we are wrapping up now. Very interesting, important panel discussion here today. I think if I could summarize it, I would say this is a journey of transformation. We are going from physical to digital, from trying out the viral new tech to ensuring sustained success and competitive advantage in the long term, from knowledge and labor to innovation and learning. And also to ensuring that it's about not just competition, but collaboration and working together to build these successes. So thank you so much to my panel. Thank you to everyone who's joined us here in Tianjin and watching from home. We'll see you next time.
stable coins, right, as a digital currency. And he said that the Fed wants complete oversight, which they want to roll. And I'm very keen to hear from you all whether you think this would open doors for more central banks to follow. Jeremy, I see you're agreeing with me. Would you like to jump in?
Sure. We're very close to this topic.
Yeah.
Right now, the United States Congress is discussing a new set of regulations over the issuance of the private issuance of digital dollars. And so USDC is an example of that. And there's also been discussion about central bank digital currency in the United States, but it's been rejected. In fact, in the same testimony, Chairman Powell said, we are not moving forward with central bank digital currency. Chairman Powell also said we need to provide clear rules around private sector innovation through digital dollars and stablecoins. Secretary Yellen, who I know will be here in China soon, similarly is advocating. And the US Treasury Department at the FSB at a global level has really said the priority now is regulating this sector. But I think the result, to build on what was shared, the result is actually building a model where the base layer of money is very safe. So you have digital dollars where the assets that back them are held with the central bank or in things like government bonds, short government bonds. And then you have something that everyone on the internet, every user, every business will know this is a cash equivalent instrument. And then you have the traditional central bank oversight. But it's different than commercial bank money. When you give money to a commercial bank, they take the money and then they leverage it and they multiply it by 12 times on average, and they take risk with it. And that introduces systemic risk and financial stability risk. It has other benefits as well, but it introduces this risk. And then from time to time, every 10 years, every 20 years, you have bank failures, you have bank runs, and then you have huge bailouts and so on. And so stablecoins provide a way to have a base layer of money that is very close to the central bank. And so you're not changing monetary policy, but with the benefit of, instead of the government being responsible for developing software, deploying networks, running technology, you allow bank and non-bank companies to actually drive the technological innovation and to be constantly upgrading that technology. Because as we see, whether it's with AI or blockchains or other things, the pace of technological improvement is constant. It's by the week, it's by the month. You can't expect governments to keep that pace. So you have to have this public-private partnership and preserve the role of the central bank, but also, unleash the entrepreneurship, the theme of the conference, and innovation in these areas. I think Tencent is actually a tremendous example of doing exactly that. And it's interesting, in China,